What's up guys, welcome back to LIFM, and we're going to be doing another game of EDH here in MTGO. It's actually going to be another replay. So I'm going to be playing Oloro. I've gotten a few requests for another Oloro match, so I'm throwing that up, and I'm facing this guy. I'm not really going to try to pronounce it. We'll just say Honored Physician, and someone can spell that out in the description or something in the comments if you know how to pronounce it. Anyway, so we kept this hand, which I'll start off by saying is it's a pretty crappy hand. It's pretty sketchy, and I don't recommend keeping a hand like this if you're playing this deck or any other deck like this. So let's get into the game. So first turn swamp, obviously. I'm thinking here, second turn, if I don't draw land, I'm going to play Bojuka Bog. I don't think he's going to abuse the graveyard early, and I want to have mana in case I get something turn 3. I will point out as well that I decided that I was going to play Bojuka Bog only if he didn't play a mana creature on turn 1. If he had played Lano or Elf or Fëanor and Elf or something like that, I would have played Reliquary Tower into Chainer's Edict. So he didn't, so I played Bojuka Bog. My opponent did nothing second turn, so even though our hand is pretty crappy, we had a pretty bad start. We don't have any of our colors, as you can see. My hand's pretty blue heavy. Luckily, our opponent's not being very aggressive right now. So again, we play our third land that we had open in hand. Pass. Our opponent's ramping, which in a way it's given us time. So we draw Talisman, play Talisman. It's colorless mana. It's still mana, which is good, but it's colorless. Our opponent's still ramping here. End of turn there, as you can see, I'm going to gain life end of turn whenever I can. So here I finally draw Solemn, which is actually better than drawing a land at this point, in my opinion. So I play Solemn. I do need white and I do need blue, but at this present time, I am in more need of blue than I am in need of white. So I believe I search for an island here. Yep. So my opponent finally starts casting stuff, but he starts off with Darksteel Juggernaut, which obviously leads me to believe that he's playing an artifact-themed deck. And he is. So he casts the Juggernaut, then he casts his commander. I draw into a card that is just garbage. It's no good right now, in my opinion. So I play the Lotus into Chainer's Edict. Chooses to sack his commander, which is fair enough. Now, originally, for some reason I didn't want this card to die. For the simple fact that I played in Legacy Tribal Wars, and it usually helps me ramp so far ahead. But looking back at the game right now and looking at his hand, he has 3 cards in hand. He already has 9 mana in play. 3 more lands probably weren't going to be that relevant. But as you can see, I try to keep that card out of the graveyard for a while here. I tap it down. And here I'm just starting to get into my mana groove. Still a bit behind. But as far as damage goes, like I said, my opponent wasn't pressuring me at all. I will say I didn't have to block with Solemn there, but I wanted to draw a card. I want to get some action in my hand, stuff that I can cast. So here I believe I cast Teferi, untap my artifacts, and oh no, okay, yeah. This is where I play the Primordial. And use Cultivate from his graveyard so I can hit my colors that I'm missing. Yeah, completely mixed that up. And here I swing. I know he's going to block. He's an indestructible creature. There's no reason for him not to block. But the whole point was to tap this down as it's getting a little bit big. And it is indestructible. So that's why I did that. And I knew he wasn't going to be able to block and kill this. And here, I actually could have countered this card. But what I was thinking at the time was, I'm at 60. I have Venser in hand, so I can bounce this at any time. I might as well save my counter for something that I feel like is going to be a bigger threat. That was my thinking at the time. Looking back now, I probably could have just countered this and saved Venser for something else. So my opponent swings with pretty much all the things. I block and I kill the Arcbound Bruiser, so of course he's gonna use a modular and put it on a Darksteel Mirror. So here I draw Duress. I cast Duress. Really, I just wanted to see what was in my opponent's hand, if I'm going to be honest. I didn't think it was going to hit anything. It's a mono green deck. And I see Wormcoil Engine. Immediately when I see Wormcoil Engine, I think to myself, I'm glad I kept Spell Crumple, basically. Because I want to not only counter Wormcoil Engine, I want to exile Wormcoil Engine, or just get rid of it. I don't want it to go to the graveyard. So that was good. I didn't hit anything, but I saw what was in my opponent's hand. And here is what I was talking about before, is I cast Tezzeret, and I untap these two artifacts. And I'm pretty sure I cast Ghostly Prison here. Yes, I do. And I leave mana up so I can cast Venser. And I swing for 5 in the air. So in his upkeep, his creatures are getting bigger. And here he tries to cast Wormcoil Engine. Obviously, I'm going to counter it. That was the whole point of that in the first place. I hear my opponent says, how stupid, but I think what he was talking about was he was trying to attack Tezzeret, and MTGO was telling him that it was an illegal target. So he thought that it was maybe a glitch or something, because Ghostly Prison doesn't actually stop you from attacking Planeswalkers. Keep in mind that I knew when I cast Tezzeret that he was probably going to attack Tezzeret. I didn't mind it that much. I wasn't 100% sure he was going to do it, but I didn't mind it. So anyways, he kills that. It's perfectly fine. I don't need it. I don't need the mana anymore. So I swing here. I tap this down because I don't want it to die and him to use it to get this back. So I tap that down. He's obviously going to block this. He's always going to block that. So he takes 5. He's down to 30. And I cast my commander. I cast my commander here because I have the Pristine Talisman on, and I realize I can just start draining my opponent even on their turn and drawing cards. So that's why I decided to do that. And also what this sets up here is tapping this for 1 triggers his ability, and then you can use the 1 mana to actually pay for his ability's cost. But with the 1 here and then 4 more, I can actually cast Venser, gain a life, and drain my opponent. So that's why I left that way and cast my commander. Plus he's playing mono green, so I don't think he's going to be able to deal with this with too many cards. Okay, so once he equipped Skull Clamp on this guy and tried to cast Perilous Forays, obviously he's going to be sacking that, drawing 2 cards, and searching for 3 lands. So I actually used Venser here, I believe, to put this back to his hand. He only has 3 mana left on tap. I gain a life. I drain my opponent 1, and I draw Cyclonic Rift. After I drew Cyclonic Rift, I pretty much felt like I had the game. So my opponent swings for 8. I'm at 62. I honestly don't really care that much about 8 damage at that point. So again, I'm going to drain my opponent for 1. Swing for 5 flying. And here, this was more about draining my opponent for 1 life than actually tutoring, because when I tutored, I honestly had no idea what to tutor for. So I believe I just ended up getting a board wipe of some kind. I could have gotten a counterspell, but I already knew in my mind that I was going to wait for his enchantment to resolve, most likely, and then Cyclonic Rift. So yeah, so I got Supreme Verdict in case something random happened. So yeah, my opponent's having fun with Skull Clamp. It is a fun card. And he finally plays Perilous Forays. Attempts to equip the Seedling Ash, and this is where I believe I play Cyclonic Rift in response. So I bounce everything. My opponent chooses to beast within my commander, and then that's their turn. So they enter their cleanup phase, and on my turn they scoop. So that was the match. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.